I really appreciate that you're quiet and you're listening. We're going to present a lot of very important information. We're videotaping this so that your parents can watch it too. So we appreciate your cooperation and being good listeners.
Okay, so this is a presentation that we generally have done earlier in the year, but I'm kind of glad this year that we're waiting a little bit, simply because things are changing, especially when it comes to colleges and so forth. Since I'm 6 feet away from everybody, I'm going to take my mask down so you can hear me and the camera can hear me as well. So we're ready for the next slide. Oh, there we go. Okay, so what are the options after you graduate? Well, you can go into the workforce, you can go into the military, you can go to on-the-job training or an apprenticeship, community college or technical college, and a four-year university. So those are your options. So this right here is a chart that basically talks about unemployment rate, and it talks about weekly earning income. So you can see somebody who has less than a high school diploma, the employment rate is increased tremendously compared to somebody who has some college or some training after they graduate. On the green chart, it talks about the weekly earning income. So again, somebody that's got less than a high school diploma, you can see the average weekly earning rate compared to somebody with a high school diploma or with some college. You can see it increases considerably with the more college or more education that you have after high school. This particular chart right here is based on the labor force, kind of what they're looking at. You can see in 1973 compared to 2020, how the high school education or less than a high school education, there's fewer and fewer jobs out there that need less than a high school diploma. You can see those who graduated and who have some sort of education. The thing that I want to point out to you is that in yellow, the state of Kansas, by last year's graduates, and this would include you as well, 71% of the workforce in Kansas is going to need people who have higher than high school education. Currently, over half of those working age in Kansas have post-secondary credentials, and then most of the job openings will be for middle school jobs. So you may not necessarily need a four-year diploma, but you're going to need something higher than high school education, because that's what the job market is requiring and needing for the workers in the state of Kansas. So the state of Kansas has implemented, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, an individual plan of study, and there's certain criteria that it has for that. And so there's different strength finders, interest inventories, helping you learn about yourself, and then learning about careers. I don't know about the other counselors, but when I was in high school, there were no opportunities. Most people just did what their parents did because there weren't a whole lot of opportunities to look at careers, to learn about the different careers that are available. And so the individual plan of study that the state has now implemented is 8 through 12 graders to kind of get them to start looking at different jobs. So when you get ready to graduate, you know where you're going to go and you know what you want to do. So in the past, we used career cruising. This year, however, we're going to use Zello. And so we're going to be doing lessons in Zello starting as early as maybe later this week or the beginning of next week. It's similar to career cruising, and then there's interest in inventory, but it's a lot more user-friendly.
You can also order submission factors.
The steps to the application process. Well, one, you need to start gathering information. Several of you have already emailed needing transcripts, needing GPA, needing pass grade. A lot of you are already starting to get that information. So when you start applying, you're going to need to get that information. You need to decide which college is going to be a good fit for you, which school is going to be a good fit for you, and start researching that. Visit the schools. When you actually are on campus and you go into a tour, it will help you decide if this is going to be a good fit for you. And meeting with those departments chairs, it's going to help determine whether that is going to be a good school fit for you, because we want you to finish the And so choosing the right school is an essential piece to that. And then obviously applying to colleges. Again, I know several of you have already started that, and I am so proud of you for that. Deadlines are coming up. Some of the first deadlines are within 5 to 6 weeks from now. So these are some things that if you haven't started that process yet, you need to get started on it. Okay? Real quick show of hands. Those of you who haven't started applying to colleges, would it be beneficial for you if we, as the counselor, scheduled a time for you where we had to help you with your application, maybe during a cry time or an activity that we actually would help you get started and help you complete that? Show of hands, how many feel like that would benefit you? Maybe something that we will look to do, just because I know that if you have an appointed time, you might be more likely to actually apply and to get that process done. Because if you kick the can down the road too far, you're going to be missing out on scholarship opportunities and other opportunities. So it's important to be starting that process now. And so that's why it's pretty important. What we're going to be talking about today is to start doing these research, doing the Zello activities. That will help you narrow your search. Okay, so the next thing is, again, applying to colleges and knowing the deadline. Some of them are coming up as early as November. Interviewing, essay writing, and letters of recommendations. What I have found is some scholarships, not all, but some scholarships will require 3 letters of recommendation. And even though you may not need the letters of recommendation right now, it's important to start thinking who you're going to have write those letters of recommendation. Like I said, you may not need all 3 of them, but start thinking who would be a good recommender for you. That could be a teacher, a counselor, a principal, it could be an employer, it could be a coach. So be thinking of 3 people, and I would even go so far as to ask them if they would be a good letter, write a good letter of recommendation for you, so that you've already got that seed planted and you've already got that taken care of. Because if I'm writing a letter of recommendation for somebody, and then they have 2 or 3 other scholarships that they're applying for, if they let me know the name of the scholarship and some of the details or the criteria, I can change my letter of recommendation. And it's a lot easier to do that than to start from scratch. So be thinking of 3 people who you could be using to write a letter of recommendation for you. In English, you're probably working on essays. So sometimes if you have a really good essay written, you can tweak it for other scholarships. Applying for financial aid. This is another one that's coming up soon. The application actually starts October 1st. So when you get ready to do this, you and a parent or guardian, whoever's going to help you, you both need to set up an FSA ID. And it's something that you will need a username and password. Make sure that you remember it. Make sure you write it down. You will have to fill out several security questions, and then you will need your social security number, because they will verify that it is you that's filling this out. So both you and a parent or guardian, whoever's going to help you fill it out, both need an FSA ID. That is the very first step. And that opens up October 1st. Generally, we have a presentation, but because of COVID, that's not going to be happening. So they will eventually send us a video, and we will put that on our website. But the first thing that you and a parent or guardian will do is get an FSA ID. And there are deadlines for that as well. Each college has a different priority deadline. So you've got to keep those deadlines in mind. The other thing with financial aid is scholarships may not be awarded if you don't complete this financial aid application. Especially if you're going to go into sports, NCAA, NAIA, they want you to fill this out. So if you choose not to complete this, you might lose out on funding for scholarships. And then, of course, once you've applied, you've got the acceptance letter, then you become on their mailing list, and they will start sending you information on what you need to do and the deadlines that are approaching. You guys are being great listeners, by the way. I so appreciate that. Okay, so again, we talked about finding the school that fits you. If you remember last year, we college over planning conference. We're in this gymnasium. We have a bunch of colleges that came on our campus that you could meet with, you could get information on, and then they would start mailing you information. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen this year. What they're doing is doing it virtually. During the school day, when they are offering the virtual stuff, we have things going on, so we can't coordinate it here. However, there are 2 evening dates, and it is from 5 to 7:45 on October 6th and October 15th. So you or a parent or guardian can do that. They will have, I'm guessing, probably 100 different colleges. You just have to designate the time slot that you want to go in, and it will be virtual. So if you need more information and want to start gathering more information about colleges, you might want to take advantage of that. The next thing is we're going to have reps that will come to Hayes High. And so because we're not doing the college and career planning conference, when they come to Hayes High, it will be very important that you visit with them to start that process, start the communication to get on the mailing list. And then you can ask them questions about programs that they have and other things that you need to do. And obviously visit our school's website. We have been working on scholarships and opportunities. In the past, we've done Canvas, but we're not doing Canvas this year. So everything will be on the school's website so that you can view it, parents can view it, guardians can view it, and so forth. And this is the link. But it is highlands.com and go to the counseling page, and then there is the scholarships and opportunities. Fort Hays Major and Graduate Fair, they are going to have that this year, and it's going to be on Thursday, October 22nd from 11 to 3. In the past, we've had a sign-up. Anybody that wants to go, and we've taken them over there. You get to meet with the different department chairs at Fort Hays State University. So it kind of gives you another connection with that college. You can ask questions regarding the department, program study, and those kind of things. Questions. When you go on college visits, and like I said earlier, that's a very important thing because that's going to give you a good feel that that college is the right choice for you. So these are some sample questions. I just want you, we're not going to go through them today, but I want you to know that this slideshow and this presentation will be on our school's website. So when you go to your college visits, please print this list out because you may not have these questions, but your parent or guardian does. So this will be a resource for you when you go visit campuses. So schools in Kansas, I don't know the number of schools that we have right off the top of my head, but if you go to these links here, if you know that you want to go to a 4-year university in Kansas, you can go in and view the schools. You can also go to private because we have public and we also have privately funded technical colleges and then also cosmetology schools. So like I said, be sure to utilize these links and this information to help you make the best decision for you. How to choose a college? Well, one, if you know what you're going to study, you want to make sure that they have that academic area. It wouldn't do you any good to go to a college that doesn't provide that major. The next thing is the size, location, and cost. That is all very important. Some students feel more comfortable in a smaller college. Some like the big college and the big college atmosphere. That's where those college visits are so important. Let you get a feel of what that college is like. Obviously, location, if you want to be far away from home or if you want to be close to your family, and then of course the cost. Can you afford it? Graduation rate, those are all things too. What are your chances of completing the program in each of those universities? Job placement is another. Because you're going to college to eventually get a job in cooking, so the job placement rate is very important to look at as well. Scholarships. Scholarships are free money to go to college. College is expensive, and we're going to talk about those costs here in a little bit. So if you can get scholarships and grants that help pay for that, then hopefully you will be endowed when you graduate. Common App, some of you may be aware of this. There are nearly 900 colleges. It's one application that goes to 900 schools. So if you are looking at a school outside of Kansas, you might want to check this out. It's a lengthy process. But then you don't have to apply to 10 different schools. If they're all accept the Common App, you can apply here, and you'll only have to apply once, and you can send it to those 10 colleges. Kansas Board of Regents qualified admission. Back in 2001, they were finding that kids were not coming to college prepared, so the state of Kansas had put in some restrictions with the state universities. When there's 6 state universities, basically they're saying the qualified admission curriculum, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. On another slide, you have to have a 2.0 or a C average or better. You need to have an ACT composite score of 21 to be accepted. Or you need to rank in the top one-third of your class in order to be accepted into the 6 state universities. And if you take concurrent credit, you need to have a C average or better. Okay, KU has different acceptance requirements. So if you're looking at the University of Kansas, make sure that you meet that requirement. Okay, so these are the requirements to be admitted. Qualified admissions, very similar to our high school graduation requirements. The only thing I want to point out is if you do not have a 22 or higher on the math part of your ACT and you want to go to K-State, ACU, Fort Hays, you must take that 4th year of math, because that is a requirement to get admitted into the college. 4 units of English, 3 units of math. If you don't have a 22 or higher, you need that 4th year of math. 3 units of social studies, 3 units of science, and then electives, which again, as I said, is very similar to our high school graduation requirements. So, college algebra. If any of you are taking college algebra, it is a half a credit on our transcript, but that does count as that 4th year. Okay? Admission to the school of your choice, again, review the admission requirements. Can I even be accepted? Are there certain test scores that I need to take or need to have? Is there a certain test that I need to take? Not all technical colleges will require the ACT. They may require the active placer. So when you're looking at colleges, make sure that you find out which test you need to take, what you need to get on that, or if there is a requirement. And then obviously you've got to fill out the application. And again, when you're starting to fill out the application, you're going to need your class rank, your GPA. Make sure that you pay attention to deadlines for the application. Application fees. There are application fees just to fill out the application. There are fee waivers available, and you may or may not qualify for them. So if you think, or if you have questions, check with your counselor and he can help you with that process. If it saves you $30 or $50 for the application itself, it will be worth it. And then obviously, the next thing, before we can send a transcript for you for a scholarship, you or a parent or guardian will need to complete this sheet. Some of you may have already done that. If you're 18, you can sign this, but this is giving us permission to send your transcript to the college or to the scholarship committee. And then we will be meeting with you soon. We meet with the students or the seniors individually and kind of go over what their plans are and see what questions they have and try to help them out as much as we can. So not real sure when we're going to be starting that, but hopefully very soon. So when to apply? Like I said, deadlines are coming up. Fort Hays wants you to apply as soon as possible because you have to be admitted before you can start the scholarship application. The priority deadline for scholarships is November 15th. So you have to apply first, you have to be admitted, and then you can start applying for scholarships. And again, those deadlines are coming up, so that's why we need, if it's not a priority right now, you might want to be starting to think about it. There will be final deadlines. One thing I do want to point out, because we have so many students that do go to Fort Hays, they changed their scholarship list last year. So they will take your highest cumulative GPA and they will take your highest ACT score up until June 30th. So my daughter who graduated last year had her highest GPA at the end of her senior year. So they took that GPA plus her highest ACT test score, and she ended up getting another scholarship based on that. So just keep that in mind. However, departmental and endowed scholarships, those deadline, the final deadline is February 15th. So if you have a higher ACT, past that date, it won't matter. So if you haven't taken the ACT yet, I think Ms. Steeler is going to be talking about that. Just remember, there are deadlines for departmental and endowed scholarships. Every college is different, so that's where visiting those colleges and getting that information. December 1st is the deadline for KU and also K-State. Technical schools, they have different admission requirements, they have different testing requirements, so making sure that you know what that is, and if that's going to be the school that you're going to be looking at, making sure that you're aware of all of that. And then a few more things is once you've been admitted, and then housing is going to be the next thing. Are you going to live on campus? Or are you going to be living off campus? Again, touring those colleges and visiting them, you will get to see the dorm and see if that is going to be a good fit for you. Or is fraternity or sorority life going to be a good fit? And then the next thing that happens usually in the spring of the year are enrollment days, where you actually get to meet with your counselor, your college counselor, and choose the classes for the following year. So that's where checking your emails. Learning to check your emails regularly is very important because that is how we're going to communicate with you.
If you are planning to be involved in D1 or D2 athletics and you have not applied for the NCAA eligibility, you need to do that as soon as possible. So when you take the ACT, you need to make sure that you are putting 9999 in as a school to send your scores to. NCAA will not accept ACT scores from us. They need it to come directly from ACT, and that's the only way that that can happen. So it's easy to register. You can just Google Eligibility Center and you'll get it. Please make sure you're talking with your counselor regularly because you need to have 16 core classes in order to qualify to play. NAIA, there's also registration. So make sure that you are registering with the NAIA and that again, you're sending the ACT scores directly to those schools that need it. Okay, ACT. All four-year students, if you're planning on going to a four-year college or university, you must take the ACT. If you are not going to a four-year college or university, you don't need to take the ACT. Please check with your counselor to see if you should take it and when you should take it. There are 6 test dates every year. The next one is coming up October 24th, and the deadline is September 25th. What's today?
23rd.
So make sure that you're on that. So again, you're registering 5 weeks before the actual date. If you just took the ACT prep class the last 2 nights, good for you. I have students that say, well, I'm taking the ACT, I'm just going to take it for the first time and see how I do. Not the best strategy, but I understand it. I have other students that say, I took the ACT prep class, I know everything, I'm good to go. Not true. You need to practice for the ACT, just like if an athlete is getting an athletic scholarship, they practice. Everyone in this room, in this gym, has a better chance of earning a scholarship based on their ACT than they do to get an athletic scholarship or a music scholarship or something like that. This is really important to know. For K-State and K-State are super scoring. NCAA super scores. What does that mean? You have 4 subject tests with the ACT. If you take it more than once, statistically speaking, your composite score goes up 1 to 3 points. I've had students score a lot higher if they practice for their second test. Super scoring means they will take your best English score, your best math score, your best science score, your best reading score. If you take 2 tests, they'll take, of course, the better composite, but they will also take the best score of your subject test. That could mean a lot of good scholarship money for you. You should take the ACT. When I first started, I said you should take the ACT at least 2 times and not back to back. I've learned a lot more about ACT. You should take it as many times as you're willing to, because eventually you're going to hit a good ACT that you will do well on. Should you take the ACT or the plus writing? Not very many colleges require the plus writing. Check with your counselor. Check the school's website that you're going to see if they want the plus writing. If you're going to major in English, they may want you to do the plus writing. Just make a good informed decision. How to register? Just go to www.actstudents.org. If you happen to be on an IEP, you need to check that when you're registering. That's a big thing to know if you're on an IEP. There will be another ACT prep class in January. That's about a month away from the February ACT, so it gives you time to learn and then practice so you can take the February ACT. The SAT, it used to be that the elite colleges on the coast would require the SAT instead of the ACT. Now, every college in the United States will accept an ACT, but again, check the college that you're going to and see what they require. How to register for the SAT, just go to sat.collegework.org. Know that if you qualify for free or reduced lunches, you can qualify to take for a waiver that will allow you to take the ACT and the SAT 2 times for free. Again, check with your counselor. You will be given the ASVAB test. I know some of you are considering going into the military. This is an aptitude test that came into being when we had the world wars and they were having so many people join the military that they took this test so they knew where to put them, where their aptitudes were. This gives military information. It's free of charge. The tentative date is December 1st, but it's a different kind of test. It's kind of a fun test to take. This is huge. Knowing the cost of the colleges and being smart when you choose your college. You do not want to rack up a lot of school debt. You know, sometimes seniors ask, why do we have to do the interest inventories? Why do we have to do the things we've done before? If you can narrow down what you're interested in high school, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. It's a lot better to do that than to change majors several times. This is a cost comparison between K-State, KU, and 4K State. talking a little bit about private colleges versus public colleges. Sometimes our athletes are offered a scholarship, let's say to Newman or something like that. That's great that they're offering you a scholarship, but make sure you know what the total cost is that you're dealing with. If you look at this cost comparison, you can see the difference. NCK Tech, there's a large list of what they offer, and there is, of course, the campus here in Hayes, but there's also a campus in Beloit that offers things that Hayes doesn't, such as diesel mechanic and that. There is nothing wrong with going to a 2-year community college or a 2-year technical college. You can make more money than I earn by getting your 2-year degree. You just have to keep in mind the amount of education you have equals the amount of money you're going to make in a lifetime. Of course, you need to graduate, that's your first goal, but then you do need additional education to be successful. This gives you some comparison of the community colleges. Sometimes students choose to go to a community college because you can see it's much less expensive. They go to a community college to take their gen ed requirements, and then they transfer to finish out their junior and senior year at a 4-year college. Something to take into consideration. This is how you can see the exchange program, if you're interested in that. And again, we'll have this on the website. Financial aid is huge. You know, you can have you can qualify for work study, you can qualify for scholarships based on financial need, you can earn scholarships based on academics, or you can take out student loans. A lot of parents and students say, well, my parents make too much money, I'm not going to fill out the FAFSA. I highly recommend that every one of you fill out the FAFSA. And again, that's coming up very soon. October 1st is when it opens up. You can see the state of Kansas, they have special scholarships. I really want you to think about this. They will offer a scholarship for teaching, a scholarship for going into nursing, but if you don't actually follow through and go into that, you have to repay the scholarship. So make sure you're paying attention to details. There's a lot of private sources that offer scholarships. Make sure you are staying on top of our scholarship calendar. Here again is the FAFSA. So I highly recommend, and you can see on the 3rd bullet that for some colleges the priority deadline is December 1st. You're going to hear the words early, and you're going to hear the word final. I would highly recommend that you do those priority early deadlines for scholarships. When you're applying for Hayes, there's a separate scholarship from the admission application. You have to be admitted before you can start working on the scholarship applications. So if you have not applied for Fort Hayes yet and you plan to go to Fort Hayes, I highly recommend that you start applying. Financial aid night has been canceled, but we will be getting a video posted on our website that will help you through the FAFSA. Here are some places where you can go to find out about scholarships and financial aid. applications. You know, applications make a first impression. I've been on some scholarship committees, and if I see a student has written something out and they scribbled it out, that's not a good impression to me. If they're doing it in pencil, it should be done in pen and neatly. A lot of times the applications are online, so you can just type it in. Make sure when you are applying for scholarships that you make a copy of the application. You will be applying for a lot of applications, so keep copies of them. Dane Hansen, some of you took the Dane Hansen test. There's a lot of scholarship in that, a lot of scholarship money. Dane Hansen scholarships, there is the Dane Hansen Career and Tech Ed Scholarship. If you are planning on going to a 2-year technical college or community college, or let's say Hayes Academy for Air, this is a great scholarship. You do not have to have a grade point average. You do not have to have an ACT certain score. All you need is a page essay, your resume, 3 letters of recommendation. One comes from your counselor or from a principal. So that deadline is coming up October 23rd. A lot of times you might be solicited, you might be mailed or emailed scholarship opportunities. If they ever ask you for money, it's bogus. Don't fall for that. Just a reminder, read your emails. That's how we communicate a lot. So please read your emails. Social media, if you are using social media, and I know there are some students in this room, I know this for a fact, there are some students in this room that have very inappropriate things on social media. I guarantee you that scholarship committees